Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to a bit of a quickie unboxing and initial impression style video of what I think could be the world's cheapest Seiko Prospex diver. It's certainly the cheapest one I've ever seen, so I bought it. Before I show you what I bought and tell you how much I paid, give me your best guess. Leave me a comment, let me know which model from the Prospex lineup you think is the cheapest one to buy today. Are there any particular sub-variants that you think might be cheaper for some reason? What's your best ever deal on a Prospex? This is not the first version of this watch that I've had on the channel over the years. It was one of the very last Prospex lines that I got my hands on, buying one of them a couple of years ago. And I then got a further 2 variants on loan last year. But I'd always felt that I sold mine on too quickly and I had unfinished business with these particular Seikos. So after a brief bit of Googling last week, I hit upon one that made me an offer I simply couldn't refuse. Let's flip the camera and find out what I bought. So could this bag contain a box which contains the world's cheapest Seiko Prospex diver? Do you know what? It might actually. I've had a look on eBay.com, I had a look on Amazon.com, I could not find anything nearly as cheap as this. What is it? Let's get into the bag first and then the box. Or should that be let's get into the bag, then get into the bag, then get into the box? Now, I bought it from a company called watchdepot.com.au. No affiliation, no association, it's the first time I've made a purchase from them. As such, I got a $20 discount off. I'll talk about the price I paid later on. Looks like I've just scored another $20 off if I spend another $300, admittedly. All right, moving on. You've seen plenty of these boxes. Let's get this bubble wrap off and find out what's in it. So we know that Seiko have done nothing but put up their prices over the last few years. That suggests that this is not a brand new model. And indeed, this is not a brand new model. So what is it? Could it be a turtle? Have I snagged a bargain turtle? Or perhaps the world's cheapest samurai lurks within this little white cube? Well, as much as that would make sense, it's neither a turtle nor a samurai. And I'm interested to see how the watch responds when I open the box and pull off that top flap. It is, in fact, a Seiko Tuna behind yet more bubble wrap. And not just any Tuna, this is an SNE 533P from their Street series launched in 2018. So what I managed to snag a real deal on is a watch from a slightly older line of Prospex models that itself was a special edition that perhaps wasn't quite as special as Seiko thought it would be when they launched it. Let's push the crown in and see if we can bring the movement to life. Yeah, it's ticking away. I thought perhaps this one had therefore spent 4 years in a box, and being one of these solar powered quartz, perhaps another reason why I got it, slightly cheaper than an auto. It might have been reluctant to fire up, but no, it seems to be doing okay for itself. So how much or how little did I pay for this watch? Well, they had them on sale for 229 Aussie dollars, which is a pretty crash hot price in the first place. But when I clicked on the listing, they offered me a $20 chuck as your email VIP first sign up discount voucher code type thing. I availed myself of that, so I got this one for $209. That is the equivalent of less than 150 US dollars at the current international exchange rate. 150 for a Prospex, that's got to be cheap. You only got it cheap because it's quartz, Jody. Quartz movements cost pennies to make and nobody wants them anyway. Well, perhaps you are partly right there. This is a V157 solar quartz module. I can't see it being all that expensive to make, but then again, neither is a 4R35, that's for sure. But there are some people out there who like these movements, and I am one of them. Have a look at some of the watches I've been buying myself over the last 6 months. Do you see a theme? There's a lot of quartz here and a lot of solar quartz at that. I have an admittedly ridiculously large watch collection, and I'm getting sick of picking a watch out of a box, having to wind it to get the movement started, and then having to work out whether it's 9 PM or 9 AM so that I can then, oops, just as well I didn't change the day and date, and then I have to go in and change the day and the date, and then change the time, etc, etc. I'm really appreciating quartz, and in particular solar quartz, for the sheer convenience of not having to do this every time I go to wear a watch that I haven't worn in a while. As I said in the intro, the Tuna line of Prospex divers was one of the very last that I got my hands on a couple of years ago. I bought this black and gold variant for review, but I sold it soon after, and I always felt I had sold it a little bit too quickly. Why did I take so long to get my hands on a Tuna in the first place? Well, I was always put off by the 46.4mm diameter dimension. I thought it would wear like a hockey puck on my 7-inch wrist, but I should have known better. 13.2mm thickness is actually pretty good for a 200-meter ISO rated dive watch like this, and 45mm lug to lug means it wears a treat on me. 22mm lug width is fine, and this supplied rubber strap is super comfortable. We will peel off the case back sticker here. It looks like all we are getting today for this unboxing style review. 93 grams of weight as well is not a huge amount. It means that these Tunas are very, very comfortable on wrist. I think that looks absolutely fine on me and is very, very comfortable because that rubber strap is so compliant and because it has a super compact lug to lug. Actually, hang on a second. Do you see the movement? This is live television, folks. Have a look at that second hand. It is going a little bit crazy. It is ticking, I think, about 50% too fast. 50% faster than it should be ticking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you get the idea. That thing is going a little bit mental. Let's come back to it in a couple of minutes and see if it's still going just as mental. Alright, I'm back. I've replayed the footage I just recorded of this watch. This is a live unboxing, obviously. It looks like it started okay ticking in time and then it sped up. As you can see now, it is still going a little bit crazy. I sort of prefaced this. I wasn't sure how this movement would react. In all probability, this is a watch that is 4 years old and has been sitting in a box for 4 years. What I thought I would do is get the solar torch out to it, leave it on there for a couple of minutes, give that 157 module a bit of a charge and see if it perhaps settles down. Or perhaps if it doesn't settle down, this one is on the way back to Watch Depot. Hey, the lume's good if nothing else. Check that out. You can even see it underneath my studio lights. Alright, so a couple of minutes under UV and then I unscrewed the crown, hacked the movement, pushed it back in, and it seems to have settled down back to 1 tick per second rather than 2 ticks per second. I'll hang on to it for now, but yeah, interesting. I did wonder if there would be any adverse effects to being stored in a box where this one really requires sunlight. 10 months of charge when fully charged. This thing will operate for 10 months in darkness thereafter, but clearly it's been sitting in a box for probably more than 10 months up to this point in its lifetime. So erratic movement to one side for now. Why was this watch so cheap? Well, I thought it was so cheap because the Seiko Street Series were perhaps of a moment, and that moment has now passed. I was never particularly convinced by any of the colorways. I'm not massively convinced by the blue one that I just paid my money for. But for the amount of money that I actually did pay, I'm prepared to give this one a little bit of leeway in terms of the color scheme as well. Because for just over 200 Aussie or under 150 US dollars, I just got a big brand Japanese dive watch, ISO rated as discussed, fantastically legible, great dial layout, color match date complication, and fantastic lume. Lume-Bright we know is a good performer, certainly not much is going to be able to touch this one for the $150 equivalent that I paid. And after a week on a window ledge to make sure that movement is okay, this one should in theory tick reliably and fairly accurately in the corner of one of my numerous watch boxes for many, many months, if not many years to come. It'll always be there as a bit of a grab and go piece, a holiday watch, a weekend watch, something I don't have to fanny about setting every time I want to put the thing on. And that, my friends, is priceless. So there you have it, a brand new Seiko Prospex diver with full domestic warranty for $150 US equivalent. That, my friends, is a bargain and shows once again that the deals are out there. Particularly if one is alright about picking up a slightly unloved special edition that maybe wasn't the hit Seiko was expecting it to be. If you've got the taste for a little more tuna today, why not check out my original review of the black and gold version or the tuna sandwich double review of the other two Street Series variants where I dance like your dad in the intro. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in a future video.